Welcome back, everybody. Starting a new series. We're going to do a Zenith for grins and giggles instead of a Philco. You know what's kind of funny? When I first started trying to buy radios through auction, when I first started getting into the hobby, I tried to buy a Philco, and for the longest I could. Somebody had outbid me. Maybe I was just being cheap. I don't know. But anyway. This is a Zenith Tombstone. It's a 5R135. Of course, with the numbers. The 5R means there's 5 tubes in here. And as you can see, the dial glass or plastic is missing. So a lot of times what I do is when I get one, I'll go ahead and buy some of or try to locate some of the parts. I knew that would be a hard one to come up with, so I went ahead and ordered it from Mark down in Georgia, and he does a lot of business. Palmquist, Mark Palmquist. Real nice guy, does a super job on this. Of course, we're going to have to do some grill cloth. And as you can tell, don't know if you can see it or not, but usually when you got a grill cloth tear like this, you've got a tear where somebody stuck a finger through, which we can repair that. That's not a big deal. So cabinet's in pretty rough shape, but that's never stopped me before. And this radio was made about 1937 or so, and of course I said there's 5 tubes. In the front end of it, of course, I pulled up all the documentation I could find, and there it is. I'm sure there's more, but it's one page. Pretty simple, but it's awful small. So I printed a 2-pager, blew it up, and I took and off the documentation off the sheet and numbered or put some of the resistors and capacitance listed. I just wrote those in, and I numbered the tube pins. Went online and got the pin layout. That helps a whole lot when you're running a schematic or so. So first things we're going to do is well, I was going through the pins or the tubes. The detector oscillator is the 6A8, then the IF is the 6K7, and then the second detector AVC first audio is the 6Q7, and then the power output is the 6F6, and rectifier tube 5W4 or 5Y3. So we'll see which one's in it when we get in there. Of course, you know the drill. One of the first things we're going to go after is check the transformer, especially it being a Zenith, and then we're going to check this speaker fill coil and maybe this output coil and see how that works, and of course the power transformer. So let's take this thing out of the case. We'll have to take the knobs off, and looks like there's 4 screws, and believe it or not, all the screws are in it. Let's look in the back a little bit before we take it apart. Looks like about an 8-inch speaker or so, which unplugs here, which we could probably do some tests right there without ever taking it out. The cord is non-existent, been cut off or pulled off, tape, whatever. So let's take and pull this thing out and look underneath it and see what we have. Shall we? Here's a tag on the very bottom. You can see where the model's 5R135, 117 volts. All the other documentation says like 115. So but let's see. It says 115 on the specs, but this says 117. So anyway, with the wattage 55 watts, we're going to be looking at just under or right at 500 milliamps. So we'll be looking for that when we power it up. Okay, I've got the screws out of the bottom. See if this thing will come out. Oh, it's fairly light. Don't see many critters. But we'll have to take this outside and blow it out. But we'll look at this before I tell you what. Well, let's just take a quick look in here. Okay. I think right in that hole here was supposed to be a filter capacitor. And I think that's the replacement for it. And of course they did use some insulation, but it's suspended. And here's another one. Of course this is the antenna wire, but it looked like a can from somewhere else, and it's been taped onto the chassis. We'll explore this a little more. Let me go blow some of this stuff out. Okay, let's check the speaker field coil and the primary of the output transformer. Probably can't tell it on camera. You really can't tell the colors other than it's black and white. I'm sure it's not. It's probably some other color. I used some alcohol, tried to clean it up a little bit. But you can tell that these two are a little bit larger than these. And if you go to the plug, these two correspond to these two, which would be the center two plugs. And then the outer two would be the output transformer, and this would be the speaker field coil, which should be approximately 2100 ohms or so. So let's see if we've got a good field coil. Well, if we can hook it on there, and we've got around 1800 ohms. So I think that's pretty good. It's not open anyway, right? And then we'll go to the outside, and we have about 420 ohms for the output, primary of the output. I believe those are good, so we'll call those good, and we'll move on to the chassis itself. Also stamped on the back of the cabinet is the model 5R135. So pretty comfortable that this is a 5R135. Okay, let's check some of our, of course here's our antenna wire. Goes to the antenna coil. And the first tube should be the 6A8. See if that's it. It's a 6A8. I think this has had a lot of work done to it. I really do, what I could tell. We'll take these out, clean these up, test those. Our next tube is IF tube. This is 6K7. Okay, and inside, this is supposed, all these supposed to have shields. I need to come up with some more shields. There's only one shield. Let's see what this one is. This is the 6Q7. Okay. And let's see, it should be the rectifier tube maybe. This is the 5Y3. And let's see, all that's left is the 6F6. And that is a 6K6. Let me check. See if that's a sub. Yeah, that's a good sub. But I've got a 6F6 if this one checks bad or what have you. But all right. Didn't blow it out good enough. Still got some fuzz. But let's turn it over and get underneath and maybe check the transformer out. I've tested my tubes. The 6Q7, the triode part of it, is a little bit weak, which is the amplifier after the second detector, the second detector, and then it's the first stage of the audio. A little bit weak, but I think it'll work, and we'll try it. The 6K6 is a little bit, just a little bit weak, but I have a 6F6 that is really good. It doesn't look like much, but if these give me a problem, then I'll change that 6F6 out and get a new 6Q7 if it doesn't work properly. Here's something that I learned from That Tube Sound. Michael, out on the Western Outpost in Utah, he said, and it makes a whole lot of sense when you're pull your tubes and you're testing them, go ahead and clean them up and then put them up. That way, when you get ready to put the radio back together, you don't have to stop and do it. And it just makes sense. When you're ready to put the tubes back in, you're ready to put the tubes back in. You don't have to pull them back out and redo them. So let's move forward. See if we can check some of this stuff out. This in here, boys and girls, do not do this at home. I beseech you. This capacitor is supposed to be floating off the ground, and they've got it taped with electrical tape and then taped it to the chassis. And then the tab goes over to where it's supposed to be. And all these resistors are wholesale resistors. They're all the same value that somebody had. Here's the tab itself off of the electrolytic that was mounted in there, the original. It's just floating in here. So we're going to have to tear all that out and probably try to put some terminal strips in there and sort through that mess a little bit later. But anyway, enough of the soapbox. Let's look at the primary. Let's do the primary, which is in the power cord through the switch. I think we can run that down pretty quick. Here's the electrical cord. Here's one side of it. Here's the other side going through the switch. And we're getting roughly, well, not getting a good, and that's could be a bad switch, dirty switch. Let's go across it, and we're getting approximately 21 ohms. So we'll call the primary good. So let's go to the secondary, which is here, which will be pin 4 and pin 6. I didn't use a pointer, sorry. I'm supposed to use a pointer. Pin 4 and pin 6 of the rectifier tube, which is located in here. Maybe we can get some light, more light in there, I don't know. Anyway, pin 4 and pin 6. And you'll just have to trust me if you can't see the key in here. I want to let you see. You can see the key right there. So there's pin 1, 2. There's no pin 3. There's pin 4 here. No 5. And pin 6. And we are reading 585 ohms or so. And let's see. That's the that's got a center tap, so let's run the center tap down. The center tap is the ground side of this capacitor. So we should have approximately half, and so that's 305 or so. Let's go to the other side, and we should have about 280 or so. All right, so I think the primary's good. Now, if y'all didn't catch this earlier, the filament for the 5Y3 is 2 and 8. I had it marked 1 and 8. So let's go down here. Pin 1 has got a capacitor which is just being used as a terminal. So we'll go to pin 2 and pin 8, and we should have roughly 1 or less. There you go, 0.7-ish. So that, I think that's good. Let's check the other transformer. Goes across the dial light, and that's the 6.3. We'll go to pins 2 and 7 on the 6A8, since it's close over here and it's wide open. And that's 2 and 7. There's the 1 and 2 and 7. Should be right there. And what are we going to have? We're going to have roughly 0.8. So tells me that lamp is not lit, or is bad, because I would think it would be a little bit less than that. But we'll see as time goes on. Let me document this and we'll go on. Pull the bulb. I'm checking it, and we get nothing. So I kind of confirmed that. This looks like a number 51 bayonet bulb. Don't have a parts list, but we'll see. I don't know that I've got one, but we'll see the ratings on it. Let's test some of these coils. We'll start with the antenna coil. Of course, it's the antenna wire, and it goes to ground. And let's check it and see. Antenna wire, ground, about 1.5 ohms. The second, or the other side of that, is this is the cap on the 6A8 tube, and I believe it's this side here, and we're looking about 3 ohms, 3.1 ohms. Let me document that. Let's go to the first IF. Looks like it's going to be on pin 3 of the 6A8, the plate of it, and it comes down and it comes to, that is the B+. So we'll connect that. Let's see if we can find it here. All right, pin 3, try to get it to where we can fix it. Pin 3, 1, 2, 3. That sounds right. Yeah, and then the other one is the same place. Let's see. And the other one is the B+. That's correct. So we'll go over here, the B+, and we are reading around 13 ohms. Okay, 13. All right. The other one will go to the cap of the 6K7, and it goes and comes to the same point as this antenna transformer that we checked earlier. So we can go to the cap of the 6K7, Let's turn this over slightly. Okay, we'll go to the cap like this, and then we will go to where we checked the antenna coil there, and the second part of that is around 13 ohms, about the same. Okay, let's look at the second IF. The 6K7, the plate is pin 3, and it's also the B plus coming off the, let's see, is that right? Yeah, that's the B plus right here. So pin 3 and the B plus. Okay, I've got this on the B plus, and the 6K7 is deep down in here, and you'll just have to trust me, it's behind this coil here. So pin 1, 2, and if I can see, 3. Does that sound right? And we're looking at about 12.7 ohms. Let's document that. Or about 13. All right, now let's look at this other one. Pin 4 and 5 of the 6Q7, which is right along in here. Pins 4 or 5 either way, and I'll have to let me dig down and find this junction point right here where C5 and R3 connect. I think I got this figured out now. The other side of this will go from pin 4 and 5, which tied together on the 6Q7, which is located here, and right in there is pin 4 and 5, so we can just hook it there. Now the other side of that, if you look at R2, that is the volume control, and one side of it is connected to pin 8, which is right there, and that does. So the other side of the volume control is connected to that point right there. So we should be able to go from one side of this, pin 4 and 5, and then one side, the other opposite side of this one, if I can get to it, and we should get a reading of about 12.7. So I got a little glare there, but 12.7-ish or so. We'll document that. Let's check this oscillator coil. Looks like this side of it goes from C2, which is a trimmer, to pin 5 of the 6A8, and this is the 6A8 here. Let's get it head on so you can see it. There we go. That's a little better, I think. So what did we say? We said pin 5, and this trimmer is C2. So pin 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we will attach there. Well, I think we can just attach that. And then the trimmer comes up from this coil here and goes to here. So we can check it there, or we can check it right here, either one. And we've got around 5 ohms or so. That looks good. And let's see, then the second part of it is pin 6, and it comes and goes over to here, and that ties into pin 4, which also goes to pin 4. So if we go between pins 6 and 4 of the 6A8, I hope everybody sees that. You got pin 6 comes down, goes through this coil, comes over here, It's tied here, goes up, ties into pin 4 of the 6K7, comes up, goes over, and comes back to pin 4 of the 6A8. So if we go between pins 4 and 6 on the 6A8, we should read the other side. So pin 4 and 6, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. That's 4, 5, and 6 right over there. And we are reading 2.4. All right, that looks good. All right. I think that's going to do it for part 1. I think we've got something to work with. We certainly got a mess to clean up here. One of the things I want you to look right here. And here's a diode. And it's going from pin 8 of the 6Q, which is the cathode. And let's see, what pin is this and what is this going to? This is I'm not quite sure. So we're going to have to sort that out. This is on going to the speaker plug. And I don't know what all somebody's done, but we'll probably end up just stripping it all out and going back according to the schematic. So anyway, I think we got a pretty good start. Still, I've run out of compressed air. Still got fuzzies all in here. So, okay, I think that's going to do it. So, from Larry, from the hills of Tennessee, I can't even talk now. Thanks for watching.